Okay, so let's deep dive a little bit into Forspoken, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit of what concerns me, what excites me. There's not a lot that excites me, but I'm going to explain to you what my overarching thoughts are, and we're going to do a deep dive on this, skeptically evaluating each claim that's presented to us along the way. Again, to be perfectly clear, skepticism is not cynicism. Skepticism simply means do not believe something until there's adequate or sufficient evidence to believe that thing. So in this case, the claim is, Forspoken is worth playing and is going to be good and is worth your pre-order and money. We're going to evaluate that claim skeptically and critically to see whether or not that actually stacks up, looking at some of the red flags, some of the concerning things we've seen based on my experience reviewing games, all of that good stuff. And then we're actually going to boot up into the demo to play the game itself and see whether or not there's something hidden here that's secretly really awesome, or if it's just what it appears to be on the surface, which is quite lackluster. So let's get into it. So first things first, I think it's important to establish our biases. I have played through the Forspoken demo. I've watched the trailers. I've read the articles describing this game, and I have not had a very positive opinion of the game thus far. I think in general, it looks pretty bland, pretty lackluster, and there's just not a hook that's bringing me in. That's like, oh, I want to play it for that. Huge boss fights. I want to play it for that. There's nothing like that yet that I've seen that really excites me. But nonetheless, I still would like to review this game so that I can inform you guys what I think of it, if it's good, if it's bad, if it surprised me, all of that good stuff. And normally we would just reach out to the company and try to get a review code. They'd say, oh yes, sure, we'll get it to you a week before or 3 days before launch or whatever it happens to be. However, me and my team have been totally unable to get in contact with anyone from Square Enix, which is not super common, especially because members of my management team have contacts within the company and regularly speak to them. But when it comes to Forspoken, they're oddly not spoken at all. Nobody's talking about it. They won't acknowledge review codes, and they're just not sending anything out. It's really weird. And as we see in this tweet from SkillUp, he says, quote, have now heard from or about 7 major outlets / reviewers who did not get review codes for this. As always, no outlet is entitled to a code, but this limited code is a huge red flag. I also haven't heard of any outlet having access to a PC code yet, but I can't confirm this, end quote. And this is in reference to what Andy Robinson said, who I believe is a writer or the owner, of the Video Game Chronicle news site, and said, quote, it looks like VGC sadly won't be publishing any Forspoken review on Monday since Square Enix has decided not to supply us with a code. That's an extremely rare occurrence for us, so read into it what you would like. It's a little concerning. And as I mentioned, I didn't get a review code, which is not super uncommon. I haven't gotten review codes before. It happens. Who cares? But the fact that huge websites like VGC, big reviewers like SkillUp are not getting review codes either, that's a little strange. And the reason it's strange is because most games that are good want people to play them, review them well, and recommend them to their audiences. There really is no reason that a good game would hide from reviewers. And that's why it's a red flag. Other things that people have been concerned about are like the PC specs listed for the PC port of the game. They're quite demanding, and even still, the performance doesn't look to be that optimized. In general, it really seems like this isn't going to be an optimized PC port, which is a bummer because from the beginning, it doesn't seem to be graphically that impressive to begin with. It looks kind of bland across the board. So it's like, okay, it's really demanding and bland. Okay, that's great. And for multiple reasons, I cannot tell you exactly how I know this, but I do know firsthand that they are not handing out PC codes to people. The few reviewers and critics that have gotten codes to review this game are only reviewing it, as far as I've become aware, on PlayStation 5. And that is also a big red flag. You guys remember Cyberpunk 2077, a game which launched horribly broken, especially on, say, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Reviewers who requested review codes for those consoles didn't get review codes at all. But if you requested just a PC code, then you got your review code. It was really, really strange. And this time around, it seems to be the opposite, where if you request PlayStation 5 codes, you're good. But if you request a PC code, you just like they lose your email. They forget to email you back. It's really weird. And there's other concerning things too, such as like I don't even know what this game is supposed to be. It's like a girl who lives in the Bronx but then is transported to a magical world, and then like she has a talking bracelet, but then she also upgrades her abilities by changing the color of her fingernail paint. I'm not making this up. This is actually what the game is. I'm not making it up. This is real. This is real life. But you know what? We're trying to be skeptical, but not cynical pricks. So let's give this game a fair shot by way of the demo, which is not something that you often get the ability to do. Normally, these games don't launch with demos that you can evaluate. So you know what? I appreciate it. And I will say this seems to be one of those rare cases where the demo has actually turned more people off of the game than turned them onto it, which I also find just thoroughly hilarious. But let's check it out. Quality focused or performance, ray tracing. I'm gonna go performance because I like the higher refresh rate. Okay, we are now booting in. Thank you for playing the Forspoken demo, in which you can enjoy a sample of the game. This will be saved automatically. Okay, let's do it.
Frey Holland.
Here we go.
Daydreamer, cat lover, New Yorker.
Relatable.
On a fateful evening, her life changed drastically when she was mysteriously transported to the beautiful, treacherous land of Athia.
Oh no, it's treacherous!
Frey arrives with a magical, sentient bracelet inexplicably wrapped around her arm, then discovers she can cast powerful spells and use magic to swiftly traverse the sprawling landscapes. The last remnants of Athia's populace soon look to Frey as their only hope for confronting the Tamtas, once benevolent matriarchs who now rule as maddened and evil sorceresses. Reluctant to help, but desperate to find a way back home, Frey sets off on a journey through this strange and dangerous land.
Okay. What I don't understand is like, why didn't they just have her live in a magical world? Like, why did they have to have her from the Bronx transport? Like, is that supposed to make her more relatable? Maybe, I don't know. But every time they do that, like, these are conscious decisions. They are choosing to do this above and beyond the more simple options. So there's got to be a purpose. Hopefully it's a good one. Oh, wait, hold on. Before we get into it, I'm seeing from Eric. Is that it? Eric? Sorry, it's really small on my screen. In chat, Luke, performance mode is borked in the demo at the moment. The 40 FPS hybrid mode is much better from what I've tested. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, I guess we'll change it. Is that the play? Begin the tutorial, yes. I pressed up, but it went 2 instead of 1. Okay, controls are set. Wait, no, yes, I did. Okay, this is probably more me with my sausage fingers accidentally pressing the button twice when I mean to press it once. But you know what? I'll pretend to blame it on the game so that I'm not as embarrassed, because that's what YouTubers are supposed to do, right? Let's see. Quality, is that what you're saying? Quality is the hybrid mode. Okay, we've changed the mode now. This is more 30 to 40 FPS, because this apparently doesn't have the resolution totally screwed up. So we'll go with this. I will say, like, at the outset, it doesn't look bad. I don't think it looks particularly good, but it doesn't look bad. In terms of movement and feel, the haptics on the PlayStation 5 are really solid. You can see we can pull up different spell types. Scatter shots, we can do that. And then we can throw those out just with left and right trigger. Pretty simple. And then if we want to run, we can just hold down circle and she just sprints and like free climbs. Okay. Well done. One of the things that stood out to me about this game is something that I call particle effect fetishism, which is a very Square Enix thing where basically like the game is obsessed with just particle effects everywhere and they think that just makes the game look cool. Like, how do we make this frame look better? Particle effects, and they just sprinkle it all in. It's something Square Enix does with most of their games, and you can see it in full force here. Like, if we look off in the distance, this isn't that interesting a shot, but they just sprinkle in particle effects with her free running and call it good. Now, if we pull up the journal, you can see that we've got a handful of objectives. Dive into the Rosewood Fount, defeat all enemies at the Merville Bridge, go to the Central Refuge, at the Water Garden, acquire a new cloak. Okay, all pretty straightforward. If we check the map, You can see all of this is available to us to explore. I don't know how big the final map will be for the game, but I would imagine bigger than this. And there's interesting places to go to. Experience can be found here, photo shoots. Let's go to a photo shoot. That sounds like a responsible thing to do. Let's go over here. Let's do that one. Now, cringe is something that's been brought up a handful of times with this game. And I've always found the topic of cringe relatively fascinating because it's like, how do you define cringe? What is cringy versus not cringy? What's like well-written versus cringe writing? And I think there's multiple parts to it. It's not as simple as just, lol, this one makes me laugh, so it's cringe. I think there's a little bit more nuance to it. But more than anything, I think cringe usually has to do with failing to achieve the goal. And in that failure, we kind of revel in the hilarity that ensues. Like when a game is trying really hard to be funny or witty and have interesting banter and it just fails, that's cringy because they're trying really hard to do something and they're just failing and failing and failing and failing every step of the way. I think that's kind of what it is with this, where they try to give the protagonist interesting dialogue and banter with her cufflink thing, and she just isn't that interesting. She's not relatable. She's not interesting and funny. And so it just comes off as really, really cringy. And then they made a demo out of that. Here, let's actually fight these guys and see what we've got. So we've got the kind of basic aim thing here. That's cool. I'll give them that. I've got a machine gun. Vulnerable to this type of attack.
A whole lot better than I did a minute ago.
Okay, I suck at this. Hold on.
Leave me alone.
Why not leave me alone? That's cool. And I will say, I do think the combat has a lot of leeway. A lot of people bash the combat early on, including myself, because it seems pretty unidimensional and straightforward, but there actually is a good amount of variety here, especially once you start swapping out spells and attack types and stuff. There's a good amount of stuff to do, and I think you could have a lot of fun building out particular loadouts and spell build-outs. So I think that the combat actually could be the real strong point of this. I don't think the demo does a good way of showcasing it, but that's a separate issue, you know. But one of the things I mentioned in the TikTok I made on this game is that she has a terrible case of never shut the hell up itis. So what I want to do is actually do like a little experiment. We're gonna just run, I'm gonna stay silent, and we're gonna see how long until she says something stupid, okay? Let's do it. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Could pretend we didn't notice.
That was probably 2.5 seconds. Okay, that was a little staged because he started talking to her. But come on. Oh God. Okay. We'll like do a serious thing because he was already talking to her. Let's just open a chest. Let's play the game normally and see what happens and what she says. Okay, we'll be fair. Okay. Oh well, first I'll fight these guys. Okay, I can scan this. Okay.
Who are you trying to hit exactly?
That fucker right there.
Okay, that was more like 5 seconds. That was okay. And I want to be fair, like a lot of games have protagonists that say stuff during combat, like Geralt doing the thing of like, ooh, that hurt and stuff like that when he gets hit. And yeah, we could maybe lump that same thing into it. But with this, she's like, ah, yeah. Oh, I got hit. Who are you trying to hit exactly? Ah, that over there. That's who I'm trying to get. Like, yes, she said the F word. I just don't find it relatable. It's just kind of cringe. Love it. Again, see what I mean about particle effects? Everywhere. Let's do leech. And scatter shot. Whoop. Let's jump off a cliff and end this. Nope, can't die. Okay, let's open this chest. I don't know why it's here on a random cliff face, but let's open it. Okay. Janoon's mantle. I will be real. This is a personal preference. This is in no way indicative of the game being bad or having problems. Okay, I want to be very clear about that. This is purely a nitpick from Luke Stevens being a prick. Okay. I personally really don't find it interesting. I find it difficult to justify exploration and stuff when resources are named stuff that's so bizarrely obscure, because usually you're collecting these things for crafting, right? So, okay, I need a shore violet, I need tall aster, Janoon's mantle, and flute blossoms. Like, I would prefer not to have to memorize a whole catalog of different plant types and their names in this mythical world in order to be able to figure out what I need to craft stuff. It's just a personal preference of mine. So like when I open a chest and I see, oh, it's got a snoogleberry in it. Oh, awesome. That to me isn't as satisfying as being like, oh, you found this type of armor, or oh, you found this weapon that's usable, like in a game like Elden Ring or something. I just don't find it as fun to open it up and find like a boogleberry or a snoogle or something like that. I just want something that I can at least understand. And maybe when I play this game more, I'll understand it because I'll start to know what those things are. But as of right now, I don't know what they are. It's just kind of weird. Hi-ya! Slap, slap, slap. Okay. Okay. I will say, based on what we're seeing right now, I do think that this game could be one that looks really, really good on PC if you could like get 120 frames and then also crank it to like native 4K and stuff with DLSS and everything. I think that this is a game that could really excel on PC, which makes the weird behavior surrounding the PC copy really, really strange. And depending on when you're watching this, the PC version of the game might already be out. So you might know how it runs. And here's the thing with all of this. It may turn out that this game is really good and the marketing team just dropped the ball horribly. They decided to double down on a demo that didn't make the game look very good. They decided to be really strange with reviewers and not communicate to reviewers when they were getting copies or if they were, and the review process was thrown out of whack as a result. So everybody was very, very negative towards the game before it even launched. It could be that the marketing team is to blame for all of this. Or I think the simpler explanation is just that they know that this PC version probably has some issues, and they know that reviewers who have already been a little skeptical of the game and weren't thrilled with the demo might not like the full game because it's just the demo for 30 hours. I don't know. I guess we'll find out very shortly what this game actually looks like and how it plays. But as of right now, this is all we have to go on. And the reason we're doing this is because as a consumer, this is what you will be doing to make an informed decision on your purchase. Because guess what? If they're not sending copies of the games to reviewers that you trust, but only to reviewers who they think are going to give them good marks, that's not reliable information to you. So the reviews won't really matter at the end of the day because you don't watch those reviewers because they were already like overly positive towards this game, or they didn't send review codes to the skeptical ones or the critical ones. So there's no useful information to be garnered from them. And so for us, this is all we can do to evaluate whether this game is worth purchasing before it comes out and before the biggest, creators and streamers and YouTubers have made their reviews and analyses of this. And frankly, from what we're seeing, I just don't get what the hook is, what's supposed to motivate me to play through all of this. And instead, I'm just left kind of confused as to how this became an entire game. Frankly, I'm a little baffled. Okay, but we came over here. I want to see what this photo op is like. Let's take a photo. What is this? Okay. It's just a picture that we can take. Okay. Beautiful. Take a picture. I have to adjust the zoom. This is like the Breath of the Wild stuff where I take this and match it up. Okay. Oh, she has a cell phone. That's relatable. Okay. I don't know, man. I want to like, this is the thing. I want to like these games. I want to have a new game to just obsess over and play day in, day out. I want to be hyped on this, but they make it really freaking difficult when there's just not a whole lot that ties you to it. Like, this world has random enemies scattered throughout, but so far, I don't really feel the interest in the world to start exploring. And I know that's going to be a little bit more subjective than a more critical analysis of, say, item placement or boss variety, enemy variety, that type of thing. But this world, like so far, at least as they've introduced it through the demo, isn't that captivating or interesting. They say it's a treacherous land that's got all sorts of dangers and things. But when we're looking at it, like in this shot right here, I don't see it. Like there's an old building here, but if we go in the building, what are we gonna find? Let's actually see. Okay, so we go in here.
It's all just a haze.
Okay, it's
Well, gee, Sleeping Beauty. Guess we'll never know what adventures you had in that junk shop.
okay. Open the chest. Take the Schlosselstein.
Hey, a freebie's a freebie.
Just kidding, it's a feather. That's okay. I know what a feather is. I may not get out much, but I do know that. Okay, it's a big, empty, uninhabited building with a single chest in it. Okay, 2 chests, maybe 3. I saw something glowing. Oh, a flute blossom, yay! Okay. What is this? Arkham? I don't know what that's supposed to say. If Violet was realm where all matters, okay. Can I select it? No.
Court. My favorite.
You're not going to finish reading it?
Court, my favorite.
Oh, finish the job.
Sarcasm is not a virtue.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Okay, almost there. Sucks to suck. Okay, now a bunch of Smurfs show up. And they walk slowly in. And
Not done yet?
now there's more waves, okay? Yeah, I will say after playing the demo one time through with this, I think that this particular weapon or spell is quite OP. It has this burst effect that humanoids are weak to, and it's just not even close. It's a little much. Boom, see, vulnerable. It's like a little broken, but it's okay. You know, we pick up their skulls.
Not much, but you never know.
No, it's a lambent cluster. A lambent cluster for the Google Snash. Awesome. Okay. And this is something you will rinse and repeat and do repeatedly as you play through the demo and presumably through the whole game in order to clear the map and do stuff. You'll find an uninhabited building. You'll go in there, fight a mini boss and some waves of enemies, and then rinse and repeat, move on to the next thing. In this case, we have a pond. This had a cool item, allegedly. So let's go in here and see what it is. Okay, more enemies. Sweet.
Now's your chance.
Fade to black. That's the other. Okay, this is another pet peeve of mine. Again, it's just my personal opinion. I cannot stand constant fades to black. To me, it represents when a creative type doesn't know what else to do to transition a scene properly or in an interesting way. So they just fade to black. I hate it in plays. I've done a lot of plays in my day. I hate it in musicals. I hate it in TV shows. I hate it in movies. And I hate it in video games. Fade to blacks are just sucky, okay? It's just sucky. Now, in terms of customization, there are a handful of things you can do to be better equipped during fights. You can change your nails. I was gonna have something witty to say after that. I didn't have anything, so I just kind of sat there. But these nails can be customized right hand, left hand, basically swapping out your nail polish with Welkin clusters, Fervid clusters, Jibble Jops, and Snoogleberries, and all sorts of stuff in order to tweak stuff like all damage -5, but you get improved surge and magical recharge rates, killer blows generate a shockwave, spell damage +2. So you can really start to customize stuff. I think that's fine. It's kind of in line with like gems, or it's like the medallion stuff that you can put on in God of War Ragnarok that you can upgrade and then have different combat effects and multipliers and stuff. So all sorts of good stuff here. I think the fact that it's painting your nails, yeah, it's easy to meme on and joke about, but yeah, I think it's fine. It's just a different way of presenting that classical gameplay alteration. You can change out the cloaks to various things, which will be, of course, reflected in the gameplay, and then also have actual effects to the gameplay with health, stamina, defense, healing, red magic, purple magic, all being represented here. I like that. I think that's cool. Magic stuff, you can see that there's all sorts of customization, upgrades, and different things you can do. I think this is actually pretty cool. And I think it's a bummer that the demo doesn't do a better job of showing like how you'll progress through this. In many ways, I think this demo actually doesn't do a very good job of representing what this game is able to do. And I think it might have been a mistake, but that's for somebody else to decide. I mean, one thing I will say is that the UI across the board is a little confusing. It's not super clear. Like looking at this, it just gives me a headache to figure out what's going on here. I think they could have tweaked that, but you know, who am I to say? Maybe when you play the game, it's easier to navigate and figure out. As for all of this stuff, there is a good amount of stuff to do in the demo, lots of places to explore. And I have seen on the Reddit or the subreddit for this game, there are some people that have done like 100% of the stuff in the demo and really love it and are very excited for this game. I will say the top post on that subreddit had like 25 upvotes, so I don't think it's super active, but the people that are excited for this game seem to be very excited for it. And listen, I hope this game is awesome, but at the end of the day, all we can do is look at the information we have before us and try to come to a reasonable and rational conclusion from that. It's not our fault that the information presented to us isn't that convincing. It's on the devs and the marketing team to do better. And so I asked you guys in chat who are hanging out with me right now live on Luke Stevens Live, which you can check out linked below if you're interested. And I asked you guys in chat what you thought the Metacritic score of this game would be when it eventually comes out. And so far, the response is not great. I mean, look at all these lovely people hanging out with us live on Luke Stevens Live. You should totally come out and hang out with us because it's a really good time and we'd love to see you. I mean, you see all this, Rocky, calm down. You see all these scores like 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Like realistically, it's a low 7. I would guess, Silence, I guess my prediction is on day one, the score will probably be like 7 out of 10. I think that is going to be the average score. But I think it's because they're not sending review codes to enough people to really get a wide variety of opinions. And I would guess that like a week after launch or 2 weeks after launch, the Metacritic will drop into the 6 out of 10 range, realistically. For a second, ETP, I thought you were saying 10 out of 10 is what it's going to be scored, but 10 out of 10 YouTube video would watch again. Yeah, good. I am excited for you to check this out after the fact when it goes up on Monday. Not touching this game with a 50-foot pole. Can't blame you. Can't wait for her and her bracelet to say in unison, quote, I guess that's why they call it Forspoken. Dude, if that happens, I will lose it. Oh man, I think like you guys are offering some very, very good takes. And in general, the opinion does not seem to be overly positive. But if we look at the poll where I asked you guys just to put in some overarching broad thoughts, I mean, this I think says everything you need to see. 56%, if I move my face out of the way, 56% of people are saying that this game is going to rate between 50 and 69 out of 100. And 70 or 39% are saying it's going to be between 70 and 79. So fine, not good, not great. 5% are saying 80 to 89 and 1% are saying 90 to 100. And this, I think, represents a real negativity in the gaming sphere about this game. And this is something that honestly the developers and publishers needed to address and to calm the skepticism and the negativity as quickly as they could. But they just haven't. And it wouldn't have taken much. All they would realistically need to do is come out and just say like, okay, we are going to like give this to reviewers a full week early. We're going to make sure that they can show however much gameplay they want. We're going to give a 2-hour like preview, final preview of the game, which a lot of other companies have been doing with games recently. All they needed to do was something like that, and it would have been fine. But instead, they're being very, very quiet and hush-hush, and that just exacerbates and exaggerates all of the concerns. And it's a real bummer to see that play out here. Because again, we all want good games. Like, we want games to be excited about. We want games to be hyped about. But when companies are putting out stuff like this, it's really hard to be optimistic about it and excited. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what Forspoken looks like when it launches on the 24th. You're probably watching this right around the time reviews go up or when the game is already out. So you might know the answer to this. But as of right now, on Friday, January 20th, we don't know what's up. And so we will wait with bated breath and see. But I would not put a lot of money on this game being particularly excellent. But that's gonna do it for us here on Luke Stevens Live, making a video for the main Luke Stevens channel. If you want to hang out with us live, just look up in the search bar Luke Stevens Live. You can come over, hang out with us. We're live streaming every Monday, Wednesday, Friday during the week. Live stream clips go up all the time. In case you missed the stream, you can catch up on it that way. We have a really good time. There's a ton of beautiful people out here hanging out with us today, and I would love for you to be one of them. So come say hi. But with that, much love. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.